www.hoodmystic.com. Give me 1 second. There we go. What's happening? What's going on? Let's see what's really good. All right. Let's continue on. All right. So today we're talking about Mercury. We're talking about the positioning of one of the most ancient energies known to us. So when you talk about Mercury, you're also talking about Ishu, you're talking about commerce, you're talking about that messenger spirit that kind of enlightens us in a certain type of way. Well, in a major type of way. In expressing this energy, I can only express it through personal experience and real life stories of how energy manifests in my life, and then being able to document it or share the story. So I have a lot to talk about today. This probably going to be one of those long ones, and one of those ones where I have to take my time. But first, let me say thank you to everybody joining me on the live, joining me in the future. A lot of people. I had an interesting dream last night from a YouTube subscriber, and we just was having a conversation in the dream realm, pretty far out. But it's a lot that I'm learning from this experience, and a lot that Spirit is teaching me and telling me, with the idea that I have a platform, with the idea that I'm reaching people, and me, the only goal or idea with me being in front of this camera is to simply be a vessel for Spirit. I don't want to be nothing more. I don't want you to look at me as some guru or somebody that's going to solve all your problems. What I do want to be is just a channel for Spirit. And you know, if you want to deal with me on a personal level, or like as far as a reading and things of that readings or something like that, that's on you. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. Like, if nobody ever, you know, got in contact with me, I'll be perfectly fine. The fact that people do get in contact with me, I love that even more. So it's a win-win with me. It's a win-win with everything that I'm trying to accomplish. And more support for you, and more support for everything that you're trying to do. And that's the point of Spirit in my eyes, you know. The sincere approach to spiritual knowledge and spiritual peace benefits my life in other areas. It doesn't create negative situations in my life. And so, even with that said, I would not, some things are difficult. Some things you have to process or deal with and accept, and you know, that's difficult. But ultimately, the alchemy of it, the transmutation of it, creates positivity in my life. And so, other than that, you know, these messages, or the message that I'm going to convey today, is strictly through Spirit. But I gotta give you some backstory, and I gotta give you a personal realization around it. Now, peace to everybody. Peace Marvin, peace Carrie, peace Zuka, peace Fairy Dust, peace Tika, peace Najee, peace. My wife created this Etsy page maybe last year and a half ago. Something like that. You know how spur of the moment Etsy pages be. We done all done it. Create an Etsy page, throw all of our stuff on there. It don't sell nothing in the first couple weeks, months. and then you forget about it, right? So that happened. But my wife makes these libation bottles that we keep around, decorated throughout the house, that we do ceremonies with, etc., etc. It just creates peace in the home, you know. Libation bottles are powerful, and they're not like popular. Like, you would never just see, like, unless you from like New Orleans or somewhere like that, 9 times out of 10 you don't even know what a libation bottle is. But my wife makes them, and she makes them for each assigned deity of the home, and she sells them too on her Etsy page. But that's not the point of this conversation. The point of the conversation is that we forgot about that page. Lo and behold, maybe last Wednesday, I'm checking my email, or I'm checking my account, and I see like a $35 deposit from Etsy. And I'm like, babe, somebody bought something on Etsy, and I'm kind of late about the shit too, because I just spurred a moment just checking my account for some other shit. But I see this $35 deposit from Etsy, and tell her, go to work, come home. She like, oh yeah, somebody bought a issue libation bottle. I'm like, okay. Think nothing of it. And we get this set up for the libation bottle. She starts to make it, whatever the case may be. And as she's making it, she makes it like, she don't just make it at any given time. Like, she not half-assed with it. Like, she got the candle lit, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, the vibe is set to issue as she's creating. And so, like, she's creating, but as she's creating this bottle, she's creating an energy in the household. She's giving us Ishu energy in the home, and it's powerful. And then, you know, all of this is happening, but then, like, last night, as I'm doing my research for Mercury, it just all hits me. It hits me like a wave of energy, like, or of just a clear message of something that somebody may need to hear, but it's not from me, because I'm sitting here and I'm jotting it down. And as I'm jotting it down, I'm like, this is profound. I've never heard no shit like this before. This is like, and me and my wife can bear witness. We're like, you know, whatever. And so ultimately, at the end of the build, he says, emotionally responsible. And I was like, what the hell is that? Like, what the hell is emotionally responsible? You know, I've heard emotionally intelligent, so I just Google that shit. And then it's this splash page, like, it's so easy to read. The link is in the description. But as I'm reading it, my heart is opening up so, like, profoundly, because it's just resonating so deeply of everything that I'm trying to say, where it's very difficult for me to explain this shit to y'all. I'm trying my best, but at the same time, this article is so eloquent and so straight to the point that, like, I'm still in that space. So, emotionally responsible, and it all takes place at Mercury conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio conjunct the fixed star in Taurus. And Mercury is not just like a planet in the sky spinning around and shit. Like, if that was the case, I wouldn't be having this YouTube channel talking about some spinning planet. We talk about esoteric astrology, which we are individuals and incarnations of that energy, of that majestic energy, of that celestial energy, incarnated in this plane of existence because we have some shit to learn. Period. You're not here to eat double cheeseburgers and watch football games. Sorry. You have some psychological shit to process that you need to get over so you can really present yourself as your divine self with no obstructions. So the concept here with Mercury is emotional rebirth. And the concept of emotional rebirth is very simple. Emotional rebirth is kind of like resetting your box or your brain, like getting that reset button. And when you do a factory reset, this is why Ishu or Mercury is seen as a baby, or Eros, because it is a pure, vibrant energy that cannot be untouched, unmoved. You can't coax a baby, you can't motivate a baby, you just do what the baby wants. It's very instinctual. But then the flip side of this energy is Thanatos, and this is where we don't process or come into this realization, and we continue downloading viruses, going to websites that give us viruses, and doing all types of crazy stuff, downloading stuff, like, you know, not really refreshing your system and coming at the situation from brand new. And so what we need to talk about when we talk about Mercury is what it needs moving forward. And so Mercury, if Mercury is your commerce, if Mercury is your trade, if Mercury is how you're going to be making your money and doing the things that you need to do, there are some things that needs. First off, it needs support. It would be very hard for me to be who I am today if I did not have support. If I was coming down here to do a live and my wife like, go ahead and do that stupid ass video again, talk that stupid ass astrology, you need to go get a job, or you need to, you know what I'm saying, like just constantly making me feel a certain type of way for what it is that I'm doing. So Mercury needs support, and I say that to say that people don't be supporting people's dreams and visions in their relationships. They don't. And so if you ever decided that you wanted to have success, then you would ultimately have to make a choice. Are you going to do the things that promote you living, or are you going to promote the things that promote you dying? And it's deeper than this meme or this picture, but there's a pure way of life that one can lead. There's an alchemical way of life that one can lead where they don't have to constantly relive trauma, nor do they have to be in a space where if something bad happens, it's a critical error or something is going to break down. Man, sometimes bad shit happen and we just look at each other like, how we gonna get through this? That's what I love about the relationship. And so Mercury needs passion. If ever you wanted to be extremely successful, but you don't have any passion in your life, everything is humdrum. Everything is monotonous. You walk in the door, you see your boyfriend playing PlayStation after you done had a long day of work. That ain't passion. or vice versa. See, in this triangle where it has the consummate love, that's where I'm trying to, or that's where I see myself being, in the middle, where it's intimacy, passion, and commitment. Where I feel a lot of people lack in this thing is passion. It's more of a empty love. Can you pay my bills? Do you make enough money? Are you there to provide this security for me? Then I like you. And then the realization that your needs aren't being met. The realization that you don't have no passion in your life is creating an emotional crisis that you can't avoid by mental logic of thinking that you know the best thing for you. When Eros energy rises up, when Mercurius energy rises up, it's gonna rise up like society ain't gonna agree with it. Your mom ain't gonna agree with it. Maybe your cousin's gonna look at you and shake their head. But it's all about taking the proper risk and sacrifice that brings you the right energy. So the concept here is you can do the wrong thing to get the right idea. That's really the concept here with Mercury, because Mercury, better known as a trickster figure, will place things in your life that may feel wrong, but it may trigger you to do the right thing. I gotta pull this quote out of my email because it was so profound and it just now hit me. Give me 1 second. And so the idea here is self-actualization and the reality of having a rough childhood or having a rough upbringing or whatever, having a rough past couple months, whatever. Like, it's the idea of self-actualization. And it can't be feeling like you taking an escalator. It can't feel like it's easy. You have to spend some time in that wilderness, spend some time in that space where you alone or whatever. Just be in that space, because nothing really can define you at this point, at this junction. So when it comes to being emotional responsible, there really is no excuse in an adult relationship to not be emotionally passionate, or like you know, if your wife and you feel energy, okay, let me break it down. If you feel sexual, if you're a sexual person and you chose a partner that's not really sexual or whatever the case may be, and it's not like a medical reason or anything like that, she's just consciously seeing your sexual energy and like not wanting it or whatever the case may be, you need to find situations where your energy is reciprocated. You don't want to be in an energy where you feel bad because you have this energy within you. And so to be in situations, to be in places where you're in alignment is okay. And the emotional crisis that's created in your life is basically something that you need to step out of. Because real passion and real support is going to get you to where you need to get to. So I think that about covers it. one more thing about Eros, one more thing about Ishu, one more thing about Mercury, one more thing about Cupid. All of these energies kind of are synonymous of an ancestral, pure, baby-like energy. So when you see it and when you feel it and you understand it, you realize that this is something that you can really tap into. And I don't know if people deal with Ishu or understand Ishu and things of that nature. I hear like I heard a lot of people mention Ishu throughout YouTube and things of that nature. So I think it's pretty much well known that, you know, he will talk to you. He talks back. You know what I'm saying? If he was ever crazy.
He talks back.
He does talk back. Like and it's just like I think like having a baby personally, I may come across a little weird or come across a little different because I'm like knee deep in the baby energy, and it's so precious and it's so pure, and it's something that like inspires me daily. It inspires it. My son's energy has inspired me the moment that I knew my wife was pregnant. It automatically triggered me to start thinking differently. All of my sons, actually, they always make me do different things and act differently and grow up just a little bit more. And I used to always, when I didn't have any kids, I used to look at dudes with kids like, how is he so mature? Like, but I think children really affect us as men. I mean, I don't know. And another thing was interesting, like I didn't grow up with my father, but I don't think that affects me and my relationship with my children. Like it don't seem like I didn't grow up with a father, you know what I'm saying? Because I was always present with my kids as much as I could, you know. But even now with my kids every day, and I wouldn't never want it to be no other type of way, but children really teach you a lot about yourself, and that's kind of where I'm at. And I know some people don't have children and things of that nature, but it's not, I guess, like with this Christmas energy and this Ishu energy, and like it just all comes together, I guess, in a certain type of way, where it's like, you know, this rebirth of spirit, where that baby could just very well be your spirit, and you having that physical copy of what that thing is, and it's different, you know, but it's definitely a vibration, and it's definitely a power. Michael Jackson, James Brown been coming through super hard, like like, you know, and I don't feel like I'm the most mediumistic person. Like, I'm not the most adept spiritual, I be getting visions type of person. I'm more of like a studier type of person, but like the psychic shit that been happening just been like got my eyes kind of feeling woozy. So I just would want the family to be very, very open to spirit, very, very open to change. Because ultimately when you deal with this deacon, and when you deal with this particular energy, you dealing with the fast moving, fast grooving, getting you up and at it, like getting you moving type of energy. And I'm very proud of my wife, because like she does things that I wish I could do, you know what I'm saying? Or she's just like my energetic partner, like on the artistic side, or like when she paints or when she does her crafts, and the energy she puts into it, like the purchase that person made for $35, like that shit gonna benefit them way more. Like, you know, like that's gonna be like, you know, a wonderful investment, you know. So just really take action in your life and really align with your particular emotions. And check out that article too. Oh, here it goes. Emotional responsibility includes being accountable for not only our actions and behaviors, but also our thoughts and our feelings, in short, our existence. Throughout our lives, the majority of the time that we're talking to others, we're actually talking about ourselves. Although we think we're giving an opinion on something or someone else does, we're actually projecting on and attributing to others the responsibility for how we feel. It is not about finding someone to blame, but rather about identifying how you feel when faced with certain situations and accepting who you are and how that makes you feel. You have to begin to process your rage, your jealousy, your anger, or your sadness, because the answers are not outside but inside. And, you know, that really spoke to me last night as I was studying. Like, it's not really the external things that is going to save me. It's really about really processing the things that are within me that's going to really take me to the next level, and really thinking about what I want to do in 2019. Like 2018 was fun, but 2019, like, what can I actually really do? You know what I'm saying? So interesting times. And, you know, I will hope that the best for you and your family, as, you know, I get to invest some time and energy into mine throughout the day. And so peace to everybody out there. Any questions though on anything that I said, or any kind of thoughts or any kind of concerns? So I got a little bit of time today. Peace, Las Vegas. What's going on? I was just thinking about Vegas the other day. Like, damn, I really need to pull up in Vegas. Like, something about there. I got to, man. I got to Vegas. You been to Vegas before? I ain't been to Vegas either. Good morning.
Somebody has a condo there now.
Somebody, your grandma got a condo or something?
Yeah. Somebody got a condo there.
Man, look into that.
Okay.
Look into that. Babe, can you put the link to your Etsy page on there? Or
Figure out how to do it.
she don't be paying attention to this Etsy page, man, so I'm gonna have to repost it or something like that. Check out the live tomorrow. Like, it wasn't like I was trying to promote her Etsy business or whatever, but, you know, when she get it together, I will. She probably got some new stuff or new products that she could put on there. She don't pay attention to that page, but if interested in a libation bottle, you can simply email me at hoodmystic@gmail.com. I can help you. I mean, passion is undeniable, and I think passion is not found on that everyday, daily, I've been doing my thing every day type of deal. Passion is found in doing something very different. And man, it's gonna hurt people, I guess, but you rather hurt others than hurt yourself every day, I think. And so that's kind of where passion is at, where I'm at. Is like, but ultimately, hopefully you got somebody that's supportive, with who knows. we specifically do to shift out of pain in terms of self-care? Specifically, the first thing is to do a self-inventory. If you want to get out of pain, you got to get that shit out of your mind and onto paper, and you got to look at that shit. If you keep that shit in your mind and you try to toggle with that shit and try to go back and forth and try to remedy it by different circumstances and situations and drugs and whatever the case may be, and you don't write that shit down and look at that shit, you ain't dealing with it. You can't deal with nothing in your mind. You got to look at it, do a self-inventory, and that's the hardest thing to do, to sit down and write some shit down, but it's the most cleansing thing to do, in my opinion. You have to be real with yourself. I mean, that's always going to happen, especially as you ascend. Like, energetically, people are going to try to pull you down based upon those old karmic relationships. I would just take that as a sign that you're doing the right things and continue to ascend. But I would never succumb to it, though. I would never be like, oh, alright, I'm gonna take you back, or no shit like that. It's interesting when old people come and say certain shit, but then I just keep it moving. Yeah, for sure. You said what? Any more questions? That's where it comes, Malia. That's where we talking about emotional responsibility. That's where it shows up the strongest, because you are dealing with your internal self when you're dealing with external issues. You're dealing with how you respond to those external issues, and 10 times out of 10 is how you're responding to them external issues is the problem. If you learn to respond differently to external issues, they no longer become external issues. They become lessons, or, you know, things that you kind of processed or got over. You always deal with the internal self. And if I was a younger person, this was something that I would have told myself a long time ago. There is no external issues. There are only internal issues that are creating external issues. So if you try to go and try to process each and every external issues, that's the illusion, that's the matrix. The true self, the spiritual goal and transformation, the whole time is you trying to figure yourself out and figure your internal issues, because the shit that I was worried about in 1997 is fucking irrelevant in 2018. But I was so worried about it in 1997. Should I get the cross colors or the FUBU? Like should I get this jersey or not? Where as of now, that shit is completely irrelevant. But, you know, we don't know it at the time. So it's important to just constantly deal with the self. Constantly stay on the internal, because that's always the goal. And the more that you deal with it, the more that you interface, the more that you learn yourself, the better you become. And that's just kind of like facts. But it's gonna be... It takes you to apply that to understand that, though. For the winter solstice, I don't know. I think that at this point, I be spiritually moved and spiritually led by the day, that I'm always kind of open to whatever spirit has. And I don't even really be thinking about doing particular rituals because I don't really need shit or want for shit. I'm kind of in a space where I'm trying to create my life in such a way where I can do something very next level for me. Like, I'm challenging myself to do something outside of myself, and that's kind of just where I'm at in 2019. When it comes to a ritual, I ain't really there yet. Yeah, I don't really, my intentions ain't that strong as of late. You understand what I'm saying? That makes sense? Like, I don't really care. Like, just living. I just want my kids to be happy.
It's just day by day.
Yeah, you know.
Restart.
I just look at my kids and they beautiful and I just be happy, like like, or we're growing, or they smart, or they figuring things out, you know. I be happy, you know. Don't really want more. Like, a healthy and happy family, dog. Like, man, it's rich people, right? It's rich people that don't have healthy families, and they going back and forth to Children's Hospital and they bins, dog. Like, you gotta really think about that shit. Like, you know, if you got children and they're healthy, you gotta be very, very grateful for that shit. Very grateful for that shit, cause that shit ain't easy to fucking do in this day and age where they shipping out Hawaiian Punch by the boatloads. They got milk, cheese, eggs, fucking all types of shit to destroy your kid. They got the vaccines. They got everything to destroy your child, bro. Man, what do I think about weed? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think drugs are good. I think weed is a drug. And
it depends on the strand.
Yeah, it depends on the strand or where you getting it from and things of that nature. Like, you could smoke Reggie all day long like a goddamn cigarette. So there's that. But then it's how you smoke it too, because a lot of people ain't even addicted to weed. They addicted to tobacco. For if you was to smoke out of a bong, you would have a different smoking habit if you smoke out of a blunt. So, and then again, like, if you're an artist or you're a professional, or, you know, you doing something that requires you to focus, then marijuana is good for that. Maybe you have insomnia and you can't sleep. You could go to the doctor and get some fucking, what is that shit that puts you to sleep?
Melatonin.
Huh? Melatonin or whatever. No, the doctor will give you some extreme shit to have you sleepwalking and driving your car at night. We won't do that. So, you know, I mean, weed could be medicine. Weed could be a drug if it abused, you know. I don't know. You gotta be an adult at the end of the day. Should children smoke weed? No. I don't know. I wouldn't never be like, oh, like, I think Batin had a lyric that really speaks to weed where he says, he said, people smoke weed for a conversation, but back in my day we smoked for meditation. And I think that's another level too, you know. So I mean, people be on YouTube talk about ayahuasca and shrooms and things of that nature, and I think that all of those things, if done in moderation, leads to good experiences. But then again, if they're abused, then they're bad. And it depends on your personality. You know your personality. If you got an addictive personality or you don't got an addictive personality. So it's a lot of things. You can always educate yourself on your personality and your psychology when it comes to addictions to be a better human being, though. Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes it could just be the act of smoking, like, you know, very ancestral, very kundalini like, because the whole concept of smoking, if you really kind of put your ears to it and you kind of just like listen, it's like you addicted to that sound that comes from inhaling, and that inhaling is the same thing as a snake, like a snake hissing, like. And that's why they back in the days they used to call it vipers. Like you a viper if you smoke. Like you was hip and you was cool, and they called you a viper because it made that hissing sound. That was when they were smoking joints and shit. Yeah. Yeah, Ambien. They'll give you some Ambien, have you going all types of crazy. You just want to smoke a blunt before you go to sleep and help you rest better. That could be a bad thing or whatever, but I don't think so. It's up to you, though. Cannabinoid receptors. I gotta look into that. I never even heard of that.
Breast milk is naturally producing breast milk.
For real? Oh, that's deep. That's deep. I really enjoyed talking with y'all. I was just kind of being candid, but I'm still here if is there any more questions, but I don't want to keep people in here if they don't got any more questions. Is it your mind telling you that smoking will help you sleep? Exactly. Like, then again, like, you probably don't need nothing to help you sleep, because there was times where as an adult, you can control your circadian rhythms too. I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, to smoke to go to sleep, that could be bad, just as taking an Ambien could be bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? All of these things could be bad, but it just depends on your level of what's good or bad, because you could tell your mind, you can control your circadian rhythm. Like, you could be to sleep by 9 and up by 5 a.m. if you wanted to, or whatever, be to sleep by 8 and wake up at 3 a.m. if you wanted to, without the use of marijuana. You just have to really work hard at it. But you know how humans is, we don't like working hard for stuff. We want the easy way out. So fire that blunt up. I asked one about global meditation. What about global meditation? You think about doing? I wouldn't be really into global meditation because I ain't even aware of people's energy for real on that level. Like, you don't know what people's intention be, and it ain't even the fact they could really love you or really care for you, but they spirit could hate you. And so of course they not saying nothing against you, they ain't saying nothing bad against you, but they spirit is stopping you and they spirit is holding you back. And you could be none the wiser because you like, well, I thought you loved me, and they're like, I do love you, then why ain't why ain't nothing good happening to me? They spirit is something of that, of not wanting to fuck with you for real. So you go into a meditative position with a person, and I would never advise that. My experience with Reiki Reiki saved my life. Shit. Oh my God. I know some exclusive Reiki practitioners that could motherfucking do Reiki from their crib, and you could be at your crib and you could, man, I was took into another level because of Reiki. I definitely recommend Reiki, but you gotta know who to know and where to go. And you can't be afraid if they be like $100. You can't be looking at them like $100. You gotta be like, all right, here you go. Go ahead. What's a level 2? I need to go to school. I feel like I need to learn some shit. Okay. Of course you would be doing some Reiki. It's like everybody that I know, everybody is like on that Reiki. We gonna have to send me just text me. Send me a text. My go-to tarot deck is the Thoth deck because it's astrological and it's symbolical and it's psychological and it ain't race specific. It's just dealing with strictly your subconscious mind for the most part. And it's just easy for me to understand, and it helps me bring forth, like, if I have a lot of different schools of thought in my approach and my study, the Thoth Tarot deck allows me to express those. If I want to get on some psychological tip, I can do it with the Thoth Tarot. If I want to get on something mythological, I could do it. Dealing with the elements, dealing with the planets, dealing with the deacons of the planets. It just all encompasses everything that I need to talk about in a deck. So, and it ain't like emotional, like, oh, this is a pretty picture. That shit drives me crazy. I hate decks that's just bunch of people in the fucking forest dancing or some shit. I just want to rip. But that's just how my brain works.
I like dark shit.
Yeah, I like to use my mind and my subconscious mind. You know your spirit hates you if you ain't progressing in life. If you with somebody and you stuck and you ain't doing the best shit and you ain't doing the best shit in the world, then that person's spirit hates you. And 9 times out of 10, they ain't trying to do no spiritual shit with you. They'll deal with you and they'll have sex with you, but they spirit hates you and they don't want you to succeed. And they're with you for the fact of you not succeeding. They're an agent of darkness sent upon you to hold you back. And you consummate with that energy nightly. So it's very important to be mindful of people who want to see the best for you or people who just simply want to see you. Yeah, I use crystals. I mean, use them in a sense of I got crystals, but what am I going to actually use them for? Am I going like, I don't know what to use crystals for no more. I mean, I used to get them when I was trying to be all deep, but now that I ain't trying to be deep no more, it's just like, they not rocks. They not rocks or nothing like that. I got crystals right here. Matter of fact, I was talking shit. These crystals was like, nigga, we was powering this whole live, nigga. Fuck you. I got crystals right here. Yeah, I fuck with crystals. I'm woke, nigga. What you thought? You thought I wasn't woke? He'd be thinking I ain't woke, man. Where's some candles at? I'm just playing. Yeah, I never heard Bobby Hemmings say that, but yeah, melanin is where it's at, and the neuromelanin and symbology is how the unconscious mind understands things. It don't, I think some decks, 90% of the decks play to the conscious mind with beautiful images, but don't got no science and no transformation, and people would just read it because it looks good and it feels good. 10% of the decks you can find that can really transform you, and where I've been really drawn to is the Rider-Waite deck. I really like that deck. I'm about to buy me a Rider-Waite deck today, just because I'm digging that deck. I like this deck. And I used to hate the Rider-Waite deck because that was like the go-to deck for people, and like people used to always get it, but now I'm kind of like, I'm crushing on it. Crushing on it. But yeah, man, I just wanted to be candid and talk to y'all real quick. I should do this more. Maybe do this again tomorrow and kind of expand, do some different things on my channel, but today is a day of just kind of reflecting and looking at different things and preparing for different things. So I'm gonna really deal with this energy and deal with my children. 7 upstairs saying cuss words, so gotta go deal with him, talk to him. I wonder where he get cuss words from, though.
I wonder too.
I wonder where he learned how to cuss from.
Huh.